Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's Daf Yomi Yevamos Daf Ayin Tes. We are on the second line from the top of the Amud. The Mishnah tells us that Nesinin, those people from Giv'on, who were then labeled Nesinin, as Rashi explains, because they were given to Choitvei Eitzim, they were meant to start working in that capacity. They were designated as wood choppers and water carriers. And therefore, they have a din of an Evet, so although they converted, but we don't connect with them, they don't marry into Klal Yisrael. What was the basis for this Isser? We began with a story where there was a drought 3 years in a row. In the time of David HaMelech, David HaMelech asks Hashem by way of the Urim V'Tumim, what can we attribute this hardship to? What's the Gzeira all about? What's the Avera that we committed? Hashem responds on account of, number one, Shaul HaMelech, who was not Nisbad Ka'alacha. They didn't eulogize him properly. So in defense of Shaul HaMelech's honor, this hardship is coming about. Number two, the Nesinim. They were disenfranchised. When David HaMelech was fleeing, and the Kohanim in the city of Noiv helped him out, they assisted him with food, Shaul HaMelech killed out the whole city. Noiv ira Kohanim, but actually, by doing so, he also did an injustice to these Givonim / Nesinim, because they were being supported by the Kohanim, because keep in mind, the Nesinim were pressed into service. They would come serve the supply the Beis Hamikdash with the Eitzim and the Mayim. So the Kohanim, who would support them, were no longer here. On account of that injustice done to the Nesinim, taking away their parnos, killing the Kohanim, who were their source of sustenance. That's why this Gzeira of this intense drought, that Gzeira came about. Okay, David HaMelech says, look, the first thing, Shaul HaMelech's hesped, it's too late for that, it's already 30 years bygone. Regarding the Nesinim, whose parnasa was taken away, who were injusticed by Shaul HaMelech, let's try to address that now. Let's try to obtain forgiveness from them. Says the Gemara on the second line, Nesinim, Nikrinu, Vinifaisinu. Let's call them over and appease them. Vaikra HaMelech l'Givayim, he called them over. Vayamar Lemi tells them, look, we understand your parnasa was taken away. We understand that you have a strong claim, but let's do away with it. Let's forgive and forget. Ma esa lachem. What can we do for you? B'ma chaper. How can we atone? How can we bring kapara? Ubirchu ubarchos nachlas Hashem, so that you restore the bracha that we need. Vayam Reloi Hagiv Einim, they responded without an iota of forgiveness. They said, look, we have a strong claim, but actually it's not a monetary claim, it's much more severe than that. Ein lanu kesef v'zav im Shaul v'im Beisa. We have no monetary claims against Shaul or his family. We have a claim against his life. He took away our parnasa. Ve'ein lanu ish, and in terms of life, it's not against Klal Yisrael. We have to take revenge against Shaul himself. He's not here, his family. And therefore, the only way out is Yutan lanu shiva anoshim yibanav. Hand over 7 of his descendants. Vayikanim Hashem, will hang them in front of Hashem. That will be the revenge that we will exact against his family. He tried again with Fayez to appease them. Come on, be moicha v'leim faisinu, and they wouldn't acquiesce. Omar, David HaMelech said in exasperation, these fellows don't belong connecting to Klal Yisrael. Look, shloishi simonim yesh b'umazu. In this nation of ours, we find 3 outstanding features, 3 outstanding, exceptional character traits. We have it naturally. Harachmanim. Klal Yisrael, compassionate people. Rachmanis. Vabayshanim, we're bashful. V'goyim lechasadim, we just naturally like to give and to do, and it's just part of our DNA. How do we know Rachmanim? Moshe Rabbeinu tells Klal Yisrael, Hashem will embed Rachmanis within you. What about Baishanin, bashfulness? Klal Yisrael were endowed with a measure of bashfulness which keeps them away from doing chet. It creates that fear and that pachad, that yira from chet. And thirdly, we like to do kindness with people. Avraham Avinu already started the tradition of going b'derech Hashem. The Gemara calls derech Hashem chesed. And actually the Maharal says, interesting, that these three simanim, these three midos, were inherited from our three avos. Avraham is chesed, Yitzchak, he said, is gevura, is yira, and that's baishanin, the concept of yira and bashfulness, and rachmanos, he says, connects to Yaakov Avinu. Take a look at the Maharal, the Alpi, the Kabbalah. In any case, we have it within us. It's a natural trait. And therefore, says David HaMelech, these fellows, there's something missing. Anybody that has, that features, that presents with these three midos, ro'ili, davik, bumazu, is suitable for connection with this ummah. But these fellows, even though they were really gerim, but we know the whole story, they misled Moshe Rabbeinu into thinking they were foreigners. They were really one of the ummahs of Eretz Yisrael, and they came and he was megayer them, but they're not really up to the task. They're not really proper gerim. They don't belong marrying into Klal Yisrael. In fact, I saw one of the Farshim says a chiddush. Typically, a ger, an neshama of a ger, was present at Har Sinai during Matan Torah, because he's a future member of the Jewish nation. But these fellows, their neshamas were not there by Har Sinai. They're sort of tricked their way into Klal Yisrael, but they don't really belong here. Therefore, we don't marry them. Okay, left with no way out. He had to bring kapara to reverse the gzeira. So Vayikach HaMelech, David HaMelech took as Shnei Bnei, the two sons of Ritzpah Bas Aya, Asher Yoda L'Shol. So two of her sons, Es Armoni, that's number one, Ves Mephibosheth, number two. So two there. Ves Chameshes Bnei Michal Bas Shol. And five of Michal Bas Shol's children, Asher Yoda, those children who she bore to this man, Ledriel ben Barzilai and Mchailasi. So he took a total of 5 and 2. Maish Nahani, why were these 7 sons singled out? Amar Rav Huna, it wasn't really by way of his decision. They applied the following formula. Hevirim lifnei Aaron. They took all of Shaul HaMelech's descendants and walked them one by one by the Aron HaKodesh with the Luches. Kol she'aron koltei, whoever got stuck there and couldn't move further, lemisa, that was an indication of misa. Kol she'ein aron koltei, whoever was not held back by the aron, l'chaim, was meant for life. Mas, Rav Chana bar Katina, if the election process was done in this way, said, how could David HaMelech spare Mephibosheth? Vayachmel HaMelech on Mephibosheth ben Yonasan ben Shaul. This was a different Mephibosheth than the one mentioned earlier. He was a grandson of Shaul. He had pity on him and did not include him in the count. Well, if it's dependent on the Aron holding him back, that it's not really his compassion. The Aron didn't hold him back, so he wasn't included. The answer is Shalei Ha'avirei. He never took this son across the Aron. He left him out of the system. Is that fair? To show favoritism? And Rashi says, look, we're dealing with Dinei Nefashos. How could he favor this one over the other one? What happened was, he walked him by the Aron, and the Aron stopped him. David HaMelech began davening to Hashem to spare Mephibosheth, the son of Yehonasan, his good friend. Upaltai and the Arain sort of let him go. Vakati Masi Panimish Bedover asks the Gemara, but still it's unfair. Rashi says, look, it's somebody else instead of him. What right do you have to choose one over the other? Before he started, he davened to Hashem that Mephibosheth should be spared, the Aaron should not hold him back at all. And that's what happened. How could he kill children on account of their father's misdeeds? Obvious don't die on account of their children. Likewise, Banim don't die on account of their parents' affairs. This was an exception. It was a question of Chilul Hashem. This was a very well-known story, and they need to atone for that Avera with a very severe einish. Better ignore one concept of the Torah, this pasuk that we just mentioned, rather than desecrating Hashem's name publicly. Rashi says, all the Ummahs would say, look, Klal Yisrael, dishonest, they don't care for the Gerim, they take away their Parnasa. So this was a way to atone for that Avera. So one of the mothers, she took the sack, and she put it near the tzur. Some say tzur means the mountain upon which they were hung. Tosfos learns based on the Medrash. Tzur is the concept of accepting, embracing Hashem's gezerah. Hatzur tamim pa'alei, Hashem, the rock. Hashem is absoluteness, the absolute justice. She was makabel upon herself Hashem's din. She took the sack and covered up the slain fellows. Mitchilas katzer ad nes nitach mayim aleim, starting from the tchilas katzer, that's the harvest time, Nisan time, until the rainy season arrived. Ad nitach aleim mayim aleim hashamayim v'lo nosna oif hashamayim lo nuach aleim. She didn't allow the birds to come. Yoimam by day v'chayas adelayla, and the animals at night. How could they do that? How could they allow him to hang in that manner for so long? You're not meant to even have one night. Person who was hung by Bezdin must be removed off the tree prior to nightfall. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, once again, the same as the Gemara before. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, they had to make a real public proclamation. Rather, ignore one concept in the Torah, but be mekadesh shem shemayim, v'yiskadesh shem shemayim farhesya. So go ahead and be oiker one ois in order to achieve this tremendous kiddush shem shemayim b'farhesya in public. In which way? Shahayu oivrim v'shavim oimrim. The passerby would say, upon seeing this sight, they would say, "Wow, ma tivon shel elu." What's wrong with that? What did they do wrong? Halol b'nei melachim. The response they would get is, look, these are sons of royalty. Oma also, what did they do wrong? Pashtu yadeim b'geirim grurim. They interfered with the geirim grurim, with those geirim. They're called grurim because they're just like latched onto Klal Yisrael. They're not really proper geirim, as we explained. And since they were violated, these are now living through this consequence. Amru, so the Goyim would respond with like a surprise. Amru ein lecha umma sheru'i leDavid ba. They were so impressed. There's no other nation which is roy for one to connect to, kazu like Klal Yisrael. Look at righteousness. Look how just they are. Uma b'nei melachim kach. Look, this happens to children of royalty. They're treated so harshly and receive such harsh retribution. Bnei idiotes, achas kama v'kama. Certainly, the ordinary citizens among Klal Yisrael are treated in this way, with tzedek and mishpat. Not only that, who are the victims? Uma gerim grurim kach, just barely gerim grurim. They were victimized by these people, and look what happens. Look at what kind of einish we're dealing with. Yisrael Chaskama V'Kama, certainly, if the victims were ordinary Yisrael citizens, of course, the same thing would have happened. They were taken by the honesty, by justice. Miyad, immediately, Netoisval Yisrael, Me'ah v'chimishim elef. Look, 150,000 Gerim joined Klal Yisrael Shenemar. V'hiyah shleima shivim elef noisei sevel. There were 70,000 carriers. Ushmoinim elef choytzev bahar, 80,000 rock cutters, stone cutters. A total of 150,000 Gerim joined Klal Yisrael because of this experience. So it paid off. The Kiddush Hashem actually was actualized in a big way. What do you mean? V'dimu Yisrael havu. Perhaps these individuals, the 70, 80,000, were all Yisraelim. How do you know they were Gerim? You can't say that. T'chsiv u'bnei Yisrael lo nasan shleima eved. Shleima never put Klal Yisrael to work. So these were Gerim. V'dimu dugzer ba'alma. Maybe they were just day laborers. Who says they were actually Gerim? El mihacha. We have another right. He counted all the Gerim, and guess how many there were? 150,000. Vayasmehem Shivim elef Noisei Sevel Shmoina elef Choytze Bahar, and he turned the 150,000 Gerim into his workers. Says the Gemara, is this so? Is this the accurate account of events? Nesinim were excommunicated because of David HaMelech Gzera? Nesinim David Gazer Aleim? The Gzera came about then because of this episode? Moshe Gazer Aleim. It started way back when, in time of Moshe Rabbeinu. How do I know? D'chsiv Meichai Teveisecha V'Atshev Meimecha. Beginning of Ha'azinu, Moshe Rabbeinu addresses all segments of Klal Yisrael. Amongst them we have the wood choppers and the water carriers. Why is he singling them out? Apparently they were their own category. They had their own status. And these are the Givonim. So it's an old Gzera. From the time of Moshe Rabbeinu, answers the Gemara, there were different stages to the Gzera. And it increased in severity as time went along. Moshe Gazar Lahudara. Moshe Rabbeinu's Gzera was specific to that generation. That's it, but not to their descendants. David Gazar Kulidara, but David HaMelech took it a step further. Look, these fellows don't have Jewish DNA. That's it, they're out of here. Really? Vakati Yeshua Gazar Alayu. It was Yeshua who made that Gzera. Yeshua Baimahu. When they came and they misled Yeshua into thinking that they were foreigners, they were not locals, they were Gerim, and then he discovered the truth, he turned them into water carriers. Apparently, he made them into Avodim, and this was forever. Rashi says, based on the pasuk in Yeshua test, Lo yikaris mekem koit ve'etz. That's it. You, your children, grandchildren, all designated as choyt ve'etzim and shev emayim. So why did we need the additional gzera from David HaMelech? Answers the Gemara, Yeshua Gazar B'zman shebeis hamikdash kayim. True, Yeshua turned them into avodim. By the way, the reason why we can't marry them is because they have a din of avodim. They were designated as such by Yeshua. But that was only pertaining to serving the Mizbeach, while the Mizbeach was still in need of service. B'zman shebeis hamikdash kayim. But David took it a step further. David Gazar B'zman she'em beis hamikdash kayim. Even after the Churban, after there's no longer a need for them to serve the Mizbeach, their status remains. In fact, Bimei Rebbe, in the time of Rebbe, which was after the Churban of Hamikdash, Bikshu lahat nesinim. They wanted to remove the Isra from the Nesinim. Amar lahem, so Rebbe tells them, look, we can do it part way. Amar lahem Rebbe chalkenu nati, our portion, meaning our financial hold, so to speak, in the Nesinim, because they were our avodim, we can do that. Nati, that we can undo. Rashi says, Hefker bezdin Hefker. They can remove ownership. They could cancel the Eved status as per their financial, the monetary dimension within them. But Chelek Mizbeach Miyatir. Who's going to revoke the Shibud, the lien of the Mizbeach? They're meant to serve the Mizbeach, although we don't have a Mizbeach now, but that stays. We can't take that off. And this is actually in dispute of Rab Chia, who held that even that aspect of their Avdus is dependent upon the existence of the Beis HaMikdash. So actually, he went the other way. He says the ownership aspect on account of the Eda, on account of Klal Yisrael, meaning the fact that they're considered avodim to us, that's always asur, Rashi says, until Bezdin is matir. But the Chelik Mizbeach, that's sort of automatically revoked. Because Bizman, Beis HaMikdash Kaim Asr. When there's a Mikdash, okay, they're Asr. Aim Beis HaMikdash Kaim Shari, but after there's no longer a Mikdash, they're no longer meant to be avodim and serve the Mizbeach. Therefore, even that portion expires as well. So the bottom line is, Nesinim may not marry into Klal Yisrael on account of what? On account of whom? We had a Gzera applied to them and detach them from Klal Yisrael. They're considered avodim. And of course, one may not marry an Eved. It started from the time of Moshe Rabbeinu, when they misled Moshe Rabbeinu. But it was only for that dur. The time of Yeshua, it was intensified for all time, but only Bizman Beis HaMikdash Kaim, David HaMelech. When he discovered that they were lacking the most basic elements of Yiddish and Neshama, he applied the Gzera for all times. Continues the Gemara, Amar B'Yeshua. Let's go back to Yibum. Shamati, I heard from my Rabbeim, Sha'asaris Choylitz V'chotzon Li'ishtay. What's the point of Yibum? To rebuild the fellow's family. So let's say the surviving brother is a saris, a fellow who's unable to bear children. You would assume it's pointless, right? He can't reestablish the family. Likewise, if the departed fellow, if one who passed away without children, was this type of individual who couldn't bear children himself, then there is no mitzvah yibum upon his passing, because that family had no potential for children. So that's true. Yibum certainly doesn't apply. But in certain cases, we do chalitza. Amar B'Yeshua Shamati, I heard, Sha'asaris, one who's experiencing this saris condition, who can't bear children, choylitz. At times, he can do chalitza to his sister-in-law. V'chotzon li'ishtay, and likewise, a saris passes on without children, his wife is meant to go through chalitza with her, with the yavam. So sometimes we do it, and sometimes not. V'asaris lo'ichetz, v'lo'chotzon li'ishtay. At times we don't do it. I have no way of explaining this halacha. One yes, one not. I'll volunteer to give you a pshat. You know when yes? Saris Adam. If one became a saris after birth. So Saris Adam typically means it was as a result of human intervention. It was a man-made condition, but the Mepharshim say it doesn't necessarily mean man-made. It just means to say he was born. Okay, and then he developed that condition. In this case, we say, look, this fellow, at a certain point in time, at a certain early point in his life, was that type of person that could have had children. So he's included in the concept of Yibum. Not Yibum, but because Yibum he can't do. He's a Tzodaka, Krushavcha, he's not allowed to do Yibum. Not allowed to marry Eshes Yisrael anyways. So Chalitza, at least Chalitza he'll do. As we know that any type of situation where there's a lav, like Alman, L'Kohen Gadol, all that, we don't do Yibum, we do Chalitza. So in the case where he's a Saris Adam, which means he was born normal, and then he developed this condition, Choylitz, he can do Chalitza, V'chotzon li'ishtay, likewise. If this Saris Adam passed away without children, his wife does need Chalitza. Because he had a point in time where he was roy. He was able to bear children. And therefore he's included in the halacha of Yibum to some extent, at least to Chalitza. Now actually it's mashma from the Rishonim, from Tosfos, and a couple of places in the Masechta, that in a case where the departed fellow developed this condition later on, so his wife is a Yevama, and in need of Chalitza, but also can have Yibum. Right, because his brother, the surviving brother, the Yavam, is perfectly fine, perfectly healthy. So she's a regular Yavam, you can do Yibam or Chalitza. But in the other case, when the Yavam has the problem. He is the saris, and he can't do Yibam. Lo yavi p'tzur daka, krushavcha b'kal Hashem, he can't marry, but he has to do chalitza. And again, according to Rabbi Akiva, the rule of thumb is shasa kosher. Right? If he had a point in time where he was healthy, then the halacha of Yibam kicks in. Whereas a sris chama, which means he was born with this condition, a saris from birth, chama, according to some Rishonim, means because as soon as he was exposed to the sun, meaning from day one, he had this condition. It was a naturally occurring condition. In this case, there's no chalitza, nothing. Because he never had a shasa kosher, he never had a point in time when he was healthy. Rav Lezer Omer, the criterion is not shasa kosher. No. Ella, the other way around. It depends how serious a condition he's experiencing. Ella, it says follows. Sris chama, it's a naturally occurring situation. In this case, we do chalitza because that type of condition can be remedied. So this fellow right now, currently speaking, can potentially bear children. And therefore, Yibam kicks in. Or I should say chalitza kicks in. Whereas a sris adam, it was a man-made condition, in which case there is no refuah. Then loy choylitz, v'loy chaltzin le'ishtoi, we don't apply chalitza, v'nei she'en lo refuah, because he's beyond help as far as this issue is concerned. In that case, the whole concept of Yibam chalitza doesn't apply. Hey, the Rabbi Shua ben Seira. So Rabbi Shua came and testified in support of Rabbi Akiva that the determining factor is sha'as hakosh. He had a story with a fellow called Al Ben Megusas. That was his name, Shai B'Yerushalayim. He was a Sris Adam. He developed a condition later. Passed away without children. And what happened to his wife? They did Yibam to his wife. L'kayim did Rabbi Akiva. This supports Rabbi Akiva that it's all a matter of when it happened. So let's go back to the basic halacha. Hasaris, loy choylitz, v'loy miyabim. This type of fellow can't do chalitza, can't do yibam. V'chein eilinist, likewise an isha was experiencing a similar type of condition. They're called eilinist, like an ayah, like a ram, like a male being who can't bear children like a woman, so she is not able to bear children. Loy choyletzes, let me say abemes, don't apply chalitza or yibam. So what follows is that if Hasaris shechalas leivimta, Hasaris was not meant to do chalitza, does chalitza, it doesn't count. Loi pasla, it doesn't affect her. She's not disqualified from marrying a kohen. She's not a chalutza. It was an invalid procedure. Ba'ala, conversely, if he does yibam, pasla, makes her pasal from marrying a kohen. Why? It's an appropriate interaction. He's not meant to do the yibam. Likewise, by the isha, the brothers did chalitza, they don't affect her. It's nothing. But if they interact with her as married, they did yibam, but paslo, they make her pasal from kohen. It's considered znus. So the bottom line is, the concept of yibam is to rebuild a family. That is, if the parties involved had the ability to present a proper family. That is, if the yavam can go ahead and do that job, but if he's unable, then it doesn't apply. Rabbi Akiva says, well, if he had a point in time when he was right, then it kicks in. Rabbi Lezer says, it all depends on how severe a condition it is, whether there is refuah on the horizon. Asks the Gemara, Michti, let's take a look at Rabbi Akiva's halacha. Rabbi Akiva says that a saris, who is a brother, a yavam who's a saris, if he had a sha'as ha-kosher, right, yeah, a point in time that he was a potential child bearer, then if he's presented with a yevamo, he must do chalitza. Now, Rabbi Akiva holds that any type of situation where there's a lav is treated like a karas. Condition can't take effect. Child is a mamzer. And the Gemara is assuming pertaining to Yibam as well, just like by a real erva who presents herself to a Yavam. There's no Yibam there. We had a whole discussion about this in the first parak. An erva doesn't fall the Yibam. So according to Rabbi Akiva, this concept would apply to an Isha where there's a love as well, such as over here. A saris, lo yava bitzua daka, a kruz shavcha b'kal Hashem, he's not meant to marry. Michtei shamini la Rabbi Akiva. We're assuming that Rabbi Akiva holds. We know for a fact that he equates these concepts. The Amar chayav elavin, chayav krisis damu. He treats a lav situation like karas. V'chayav krisis, lav b'nei chalitza v'yibam. We know for a fact that when there's karas involved, there's no chalitza, no yibam. So why is this fellow getting involved at all? There's no yibam, there's no chalitza. Amar ba'ami. You know what we're speaking about? A case where there is no isser. How? The pasuk says that a saris may not marry into kahal Hashem, but he can marry a giyaris. The term kahal Hashem is not applicable there. That's the case we're speaking about. That his Yevama, his brother's wife, his brother's almana, was a giyaris. Kigan shenasa achav giyaris. Reuben married a giyaris, passes away, no children. Shimon the saris can technically marry the giyaris, and therefore he'll do chalitza. There's no mitzvah sibam, but he'll do chalitza. But Rabbi Akiva saval Rabbi Yesi. Rabbi Akiva follows Rabbi Yesi. The Amar kahal gerim leikri kol. The gerim are not considered kol, and therefore this fellow is allowed to marry her. Well, then go marry her. Why do chalitza? Why suffice? Why limit him to chalitza? Once she's a giyaris, don't stop at chalitza. Do it properly. Do yibum. And a chanami, you're right. Why did Rabbi Yeshua chalitz? Why did Rabbi Akiva refer to chalitza? Because Rabbi Yeshua did. Because he holds like the other shita that a ger is considered kahal, which doesn't allow the saris to marry her. Only way is chalitza. So once he mentioned chalitza, Amar Ihunami chalitz. Rabbi Akiva as well mentioned chalitza, but really yibum itself is fine as well. Dekanami, I'll prove it to be true that what? That although Rabbi Akiva perhaps uses the lashon chalitz, but he means yibum as well. And likewise when he says v'chotzen le'ishtay, meaning the other case where the fellow who passed away was a saris, and Rabbi Akiva says, in some cases when that fellow had a shasa kosher, his wife is eligible for chalitza from the brothers chotzen le'ishtay there as well. He could have said miyabmin le'ishtay. So we're trying to bring a right that although Rabbi Akiva uses the word chalitza, but it isn't necessarily limited to chalitza. It can apply to yibum as well. Diktani, because look at the next part of the Mishnah, which clearly makes reference to yibum. According to Rabbi Akiva, Diktani, hey, Rabbi Shua ibn Seira, he testified al ben megusas shay b'shalayim, this fellow who was a sris adam, and because he had a shasa kosher, right? Because he had a point in time when he was able to bear children, his wife was an eligible yavama. V'yibum was ishtay. Oh, it did yibum. L'kaim de Rabbi Akiva. This supports Rabbi Akiva. Shema mina. In any case, we see that although Rabbi Akiva makes reference to chalitza, chalitz v'chotzen le'ishtay, in the case of shasa kosher, it doesn't necessarily stop there. It can mean yibum as well, and that supports our pshat in the Mishnah. Again, the kasha was, how can Rabbi Akiva allow the brother, the yavam, to do? Why does he require chalitza in a case where it's a lav? If he were to marry her, it's a chayavi lav, and it's like a chayavi kris, like an erva. There is no mitzvah sibim or chalitza. Answers the Gemara. We're speaking that she was a giyaris. So his brother's widow was a giyaris, in which case Mr. Yavam can marry her. So although he's a saris, he can marry giyaris. We're going with the shita that kahal gerim is not a kahal. So technically, yibum is also fine. Masiv Rabba, here comes a kasha. Petzuadak krus shavcha, sris adam. So all these individuals who can't bear children, vazakan, a person is older, who can't bear children, oy cholzen oy miyabim. They can do chalitza and they can do yibum. Keter, how does this play out? We have two possible scenarios. Either they are the husbands who passed away without children, or they are the surviving brothers. Okay, let's present both scenarios. Ketzad, Mesu, these fellows who were married, right? They passed away, V'lehem Nashim, left behind their wives, their Almonos, their Yevamos, V'lehem Achen, they had brothers, surviving brothers, V'omdu Achen V'osu Mamar ben Shesem, and the Yavam gets up and does Mamar, that type of Kedushin, right? To the Yavam V'nosnu get, they gave a get, a Shechotz, Chalitza, all different types of procedures that can theoretically apply to a Yevama. It works. Masha Asu, it works. Now, clearly, we are following Shitas Rabbi Akiva. Why? Take a look at the list. Prutzor Daka, Krushavcha, Siriz, Adam, which means that it happened after birth. And therefore, Yibam applies. This is who speaking? Rabbi Akiva. Right? If you had a point in time in your life when you were eligible, when you were healthy, you had a Sha'as HaKosher, then you're included. This is Rabbi Akiva speaking. Okay? So they passed away. And the brother gets up and does any of these procedures. Masha Asu, it takes hold. It's effective. V'im Balu Kanu. And if the brother actually did Yibum, that's Kanu, that's fine. In fact, Taisus over here on the Chafa and Bey says even the Chatchili can do it. Right? You realize there's no problem here at all, because the brother is a healthy brother. She's a Yevama who needs something done to her because she was a wife of a fellow who passed away without children, who was considered an eligible childbearer at some point in his life. So she's a regular Yevama. She should get either Yibum or Chalitza. Why does it say in Balu Kanu? It sounds like, after the fact, there's a B'di'evet. It says it's just Agav, the next part of the Brisa, where over there it's only a second choice. In any case, that's the first case in the Brisa. Sris Adam was married, passed away, his brother does Yibum or Chalitza to his wife, it's okay. It works. What about if the Saris is the Yavam? So Reuven was a healthy fellow, passed away without children. Now his wife presents herself to Shimon, who is a Saris, or a Zaken, etc. Mesu Achen. So the brother of these types of fellows passed away. Va'omdu Heinan, one of these fellows got up, va'osu mamar b'shesem, did any type of procedure, mamar, or v'nosnu get, or cholzu, masha asu. Okay, so it takes effect. V'imbalu kanu. So now, they're not meant to do Yibum, but if they did Yibum, the Kinyan takes effect. It's a lav, not meant to, because a Sris, these fellows, the Tzodaka, all these fellows are not meant to marry a Bas Yisrael. Evidently we're speaking about a regular Bas Yisrael, not a Giyuris, right? So they're not meant to do Yibum, only Chalitza. But b'diavad we say Mibalu Kanu, but they can't stay married. Okay, that's the price. Now, the fact that we don't let them stay married is indicative of the fact that she's a regular Bas Yisrael. Alma b'kahal askina. We're speaking about a regular member of the community, a regular Bas Yisrael. Because if she were just a ger, then he could stay married to her. Apparently she is Kal, a regular Bas Yisrael. So apparently, even if it's a regular Bas Yisrael who's presenting herself to a Petzor Daka, where there is a lav if they interact, if they do Yibum, you say, well, Chalitza is still applicable. What do you mean? Chayav lav, and according to Rabbi Akiva, it's like a Chayav Kris, it's like an Erva, there's no Yibum. So the Mishnah, you said, was speaking about a Giyaris. But here it's clearly not so. The fact is, we don't allow them to stay married. Alma b'kol askina. If that's the case, why is there any chiv at all? Why even chalitza? Hela marab. I'll give you another teretz. A teretz that applies here, a teretz that applies to the Mishnah. Why is there any chiv according to Rabbi Akiva when there's a lav? What happened was, first she fell a yibam, meaning her husband passed away. She became a yivama. The yibam, status became activated. Ulba Soif Nifza. Then the brother was injured. Then he experienced this condition. So although going forward he can't actually interact with her as married, he can't marry her, he can't do yibum. But mitzvah yibum, in this case at least chalitza, has already been activated, it's already kicked in. You can't remove that. There's a chiddush, even according to Rabbi Kiva, who considers chayav elav and the chayav krisis, but once the mitzvah is here, you can't just ignore it. Amali Abayi, if that's the case, the isra p'tzua daka should come along. V'nitchi asay yibum should push away the mitzvah yibum, which preceded it. Miloi Tanan, haven't we learned a similar halach in the Mishnah? So we had two brothers. Reuven, who was married to ordinary Gedola, regular Isha. Shimon, his brother, married a Ketana. Now Gedola and Ketana were actually sisters. Ketana only has a kedushin d'Rabbanan until she grows up. Reuven, the husband of the Gedola, passes away with no children. Gedola is presenting herself to Shimon. Problem is, Shimon is married to her sister. It's an erva, chayse isha. So what do? Rabbi Gamliel, look, if the Ketana decides to walk away from Shimon, which she can do, she's only a Ketana, Miana, fine. It undoes her relationship. Now Shimon is free to go marry the Gedola and do Yibum properly. But if she doesn't want to walk away, the only option is as follows. We tell her, look, we tell the Gedola, wait until your sister, the Ketana, grows up, becomes an adult, and that solidifies her marriage with Shimon. And that allows the Gedola to walk away. She is now sister of Shimon's wife. Alma, apparently, it's pretty clear that Asi Isra Chais Isha. Look, in this case, Yibum kicked in first. Before the Isra Chais Isha got activated, right? That only happened much later. So you see that the Isra Chais Isha, which happens later, the latecomer Isra can come and undo the mitzvah yibum that arrived earlier. V'dachim pushes it away. Achanami as well by the Yevamos, who was neifel to a healthy fellow, then turned unhealthy. Who cares that yibum came first? Nesi isra p'tzua daka, the isra of tzuk should come along v'nitchi and push away the mitzvah yibum. So back to the kasha. According to Rabbi Kiva, chayav elaven is like an erva. Here it's a chayav elaven. Why do we reckon with it? Why at all do we apply anything? Even chalitza shouldn't be applicable. Elam Rav Yosef, I'll give you the teretz. Hi Tana. Our Mishnah, who seems to apply mitzvah is yibum, or at least chalitza in this case, is Hach Tana de Rabbi Kiva, is the other Tana of Rabbi Kiva. There are two versions of Rabbi Kiva itself. The Amar, the other Shita holds, Mechayave lavan de she'er ave mamzer. This, the Rabbi Kiva treats chayav lavan like chayav krisis. That's only certain types of chayav lavan de she'er, familial, relatives. That's considered like an erva, and that child, generated from that interaction as a mamzer. Mechayav lavan grady, but just a regular, ordinary lav such as p'tzua daka. That's not family. That's not she'er. Lo yav mamzer. That child is not a mamzer. Meaning a child from this type of interaction is not a mamzer. Bottom line is, we don't treat this type of situation like a regular erva, and as such, we apply chalitza. She's not exempt. She's not totally exempt from mitzvah sib, but at least chalitza we apply. So that's the final terrace to the kasha. We started with a big kasha. Rakiva says in certain cases, sha'asa kosher allows for some sort of chalitza to be done. Why? It's a lav. It's a chayav elaven. The chayav elaven is treated like an erva. There's nothing going on by an erva. No chalitza or yibum. Answer is, this isn't your chayav elaven de she'er, just a regular lav, and that requires at least chalitza. But we have one more kasha. What does the pasuk say? What is the point of yibum? To reenact, to reestablish, to rebuild that brother's name, so to speak. This fellow is a saris. This fellow cannot bear children. What's the purpose? Ikri kan. Let's apply the pasuk of lo hakim lo achiv shame. V'haylav bar hachiyu. He can't be make him lo achiv shame. Right. So, if the yavam can't do it, so what's the point? Likewise, if the departed fellow could not have done it himself, could not have established a proper family, so there's no chiyuv to go reestablish a family that had no direction to begin with. So why does Rabbi Akiva tell us that even though there is no possibility, going forward there is no possibility of children, but since he had a shas ha-kosher way back in history, there's a point in time that he could have born children, the mitzvah kicks in. How is that compatible? How is that consistent with the way the pasuk describes the objective of Yibum? Amar Rav Kain. If you don't reckon with this svara of shas ha-kosher, then you're running into trouble in every case of Yibum. You know why? Ein lecha isha. You can't find even one isha sheksheru yavam who's fit for the yavam. You know why? Sheloi nasa balas rischama, whose husband did not turn into this type of rischama situation, meaning whose husband was not disabled, his childbearing abilities were not disabled, at least shah achas koydem misasa, at least a moment before death. At that weakened state, he certainly couldn't bear children. So if that interferes with Yibum, the fact that her husband couldn't bear children interferes, then every Yevama is out of business. Apparently, as long as there was some point in time, and in the past, during his lifetime, that he could have bore children, then for some reason, mitzvah Yibum is still applicable. Says the Gemara, now, we're going to flip the question around over to Rabbi Lezer. He says the determinant factor is whether there is a possibility of healing, of remedying the situation. Right? So according to Rabbi Lezer, according to him, Piruka the Rava's response, Rava's answer to our kasha is really Pirchahi. Is going to be a kasha on Rabbi Lezer. You know why? Because it's clear from every type of situation, every Yibum scenario presents itself in the same identical manner. Husband's disabled a moment before death, without any hope of recovery. No refuah possibility whatsoever. And still we do Yibum. Apparently, because shas ha-kosher is what carries the day. As long as there was some point in time in the past that it was eligible, and this doesn't work with Rabbi Lezer, totally inconsistent with his guidelines. And says the Gemara, no, that's not considered an illness, that's not a sickness, that's not a condition. Hasam. Individual prior to death, kichishusa. It's just a weakness, a severe weakness, that's chilabe, which began taking hold of him. That's not considered a sickness, that's not considered a saris. And therefore, is not really pertinent to our discussion. Okay, so the bottom line is that the Sinim are outcasts. Moshe started the system, the procedure continued with Yeshua, and concluded with David HaMelech, who considered them to be strangers to our nation. We discussed the Saris, who can't really reestablish the family, and therefore, if the Saris is the Yavam or the Saris is the fellow who departed without children, either way, the mitzvahs Yibum doesn't really apply. However, according to Rakiva, if there was a Sha'as HaKosher, meaning it wasn't from day one, it wasn't born with that condition, it happened much later, then the mitzvah does apply. Whether it's if the departed fellow was a saris, then his wife needs full yibum or chalitza. If the brother is now this type of saris, so he's a potential yavam, but keep in mind he can't do yibum unless she's a giyeris, in which case a saris can marry the giyeris, but otherwise he's meant to do chalitza and chalitza only. According to Rabbi Lezer, we follow a different set of rules. If it was by way of of human intervention, in that case there is no refuah. In that case, he's disqualified. But otherwise, if there is a refuah potential, then we do apply the concept of chalitza. We ended with a kasha. What about b'shas misa? It's not considered, a saris condition. It's merely and therefore does not interfere with his wife's ibum ability. All the best to you and Hatzlacha Rabbah.